13. And just to remind you of the most important points, it is that we are going to talk about the 6 building tasks, and I assure you again that the most important thing with regard to these 6 building tasks is the definitions. The definitions are very much important, okay? And as I told you, they are working together simultaneously. We are going to deal with them separately, but once we read something or we are listening to something, all of them work together, work simultaneously in order to achieve one thing. Understand what is in the mind of the author, or understand what is in the mind of the speaker. So the 6 building tasks, the tasks through which we use language to construct and or construe the situation network at a given time and a place in a certain way are the 6 building tasks. This is the final point that I'm going to explain. These 6 building tasks, their definitions. Semiotic building, that is using cues or clues to assemble situated meanings about what semiotic communicative systems of knowledge and ways of knowing are here and now relevant and activated. So it includes using cues or clues to assemble situated meanings, to reconstruct a situated meanings, to understand the situated meanings about what semiotic systems of knowledge and ways of knowing are here and now relevant and activated. The definition. World building, that is using cues or clues, and I want to explain it again. What I mean by cues or clues, the clues or cues that you depend on in order to understand a given text or something you are listening to. World building, that is using cues or clues to assemble situated meanings about what is here and now taken as reality, what is here and now taken as present and absent, concrete and abstract, real and unreal, probable, possible and impossible. Activity building, that is using cues or clues to assemble situated meanings about what activity or activities are going on, composed of what specific actions. The fourth one, socioculturally situated identity and relationship building, that is using cues or clues to assemble situated meanings about what identities and relationships are relevant to the interaction with their commitment, attitudes, values, ways of feelings, way of knowing and believing, as well as ways of acting and interacting. But just to remind you of the identity, what we mean by the identity, what you wish to appear, how you wish to appear, how you wish others to see you. This is what we mean by the identity. Your identity as a boss, your identity as a teacher, your identity as a student, the identity that you wish to appear through the language you use. Political building, that is using cues or clues to construct the nature and relevance of various social goods such as status and power. In other words, what we mean by political building, by the way, I talked about these, so I'm speaking about them in this way. When I say political building, in other words, the kind of the relation that is found between you and the interlocutor. What is the relation? The relation, for example, could be a teacher, a student. The relation could be a boss and an employee. It could be an employer and an employee. It could be a father and a son. Political building, that is using cues or clues to construct the nature and relevance of various social goods such as status and power. The power relation. I am the father, he is the son. For example, I am the teacher, he is the student. This is what we mean power relation. Power relation. And power relation is very much important because it, to a great extent, determines the titles used and how titles could be reciprocal and how titles could be non-reciprocal. What I mean by that, for example, my student is to address me using my title. He couldn't say, mentioning my proper name without being preceded by the title doctor. But I am allowed to speak to him without using titles. In this case, it is non-reciprocal relation. I'm superior, he is inferior. I can say Ahmad, he couldn't say Ahmad. If I am his doctor, he has to mention it being preceded by the title. So the power relation is very much important because it determines how we have to speak to others and how others have to speak to us. And this is not fixed. It is changeable. Now I might be an employer, but in another context, or the superior, in another context, I might be not the superior. So this relation is very much important because it determines what is accepted, what is not. How you are allowed to address others and how others are allowed to address you. So political building, that is using cues or clues to construct the nature and relevance of various social goods such as status and power. Your status, a teacher, a student, for example. Power relation, you are superior or inferior, for example. You are the employer or you are the employee. And anything else taken as a social good, something social, something important. Here and now. Connection building, that is using cues or clues to make assumptions about how the past and the future of an interaction, verbally and non-verbally, are connected to the present moment and to each other. After all, interactions always have some degree of continuous coherence. If you have a look at the word connection, this means that connecting something now, which is said now, with something that is said in the past. So what we mean by connection building is that what you said now is to have something to do with what you said in the past. Things are not separated, but indeed are accumulative. Accumulative in what sense? In the sense that the way we understand something now depends to a great extent to what we get in the past. This is the crucial point on what we mean by connection building. That is using cues or clues to make assumptions about how the past and the future of an interaction, verbally and non-verbally, are connected to the present moment and to each other. After all, interactions always have some degree of continuous coherence. What I mean by continuous coherence, they are to be coherent. They are to be coherent. They are not something scattered. They are not something that have nothing to do with one another. They are coherent. In other words, this is very much important in analyzing any text. Coherence and coherent. It is very much important that what is now said has something to do with what has been said, or what is written in this paragraph has to have something to do with what is written in the previous paragraph. So each paragraph is separate from the rest of the paragraphs, but eventually all the paragraphs are written in a way to lead to achieve one aim, or two aims, or three, but regardless, all of them are written in a way to have something to do with one another. They are connected in a way or another to achieve one thing. In other words, if I'm writing a text, in the first paragraph I might deal with one point. In the second paragraph I might deal with another point. In the third paragraph I might also deal with a third point. But eventually I want to achieve one aim. So all of these paragraphs are working simultaneously together. In other words, they are coherent. They are coherent. They are not separate. They are not at all. So connection building, that is using cues or clues to make assumptions. Okay. After all, interactions always have some degree of continuous coherence. Continuous coherence. And this word, by the way, in the world of discourse analysis is very much important. Coherence. If you read something here, it could be or it must be understood depending on what you get from the previous chapters, or excuse me, previous paragraphs. What you hear now is to be understood given what you have already heard or what you heard in the past. Things are not separate at all. They are coherent. They are cohesive. This is the point. At the end, I would like to thank you. And again, by the end of this lecture, which is the last lecture. I just would like to remind you of the importance of the points I have summarized to you. Just concentrate on the points I have summarized to you in the different lectures. In addition to what I say, I think you will be very good, inshallah, at the exam. Thank you so much, and it was so nice to meet all of you. Thank you.